It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it to your friends, come on.
Come on, come
So
on.
this a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still trouble in your home. Got you tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your wealth. Keep it moving, spirit flowing, because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling. Wednesday, 8 and 9, and it's on. Once again, it's on. You are listening to what? The only morning show at night. It is the Sinclair Show, because that's how we get down. That's right. We are everywhere. We are on social media. We on radio, television. We doing it just like God would have us. I told y'all I rock with Jesus. That's how I get down. That's right, people. I want to thank all of you all who continue to send your mailbag questions and comments to sinclairtalk@outlook.com. I'm going to continue to address as many as possible each night that I'm blessed to be on the air to reach you, the valued listener. See, some of y'all don't even realize that y'all are valued listeners. And what that means is there would be no reason for there to be a me if you wasn't here. So that's why I appreciate y'all, the fact that y'all keep coming back. Some of y'all been riding with me for years with an S on the end. That's right. Not for Sinclair. The S is for years. So anyway, we're going to have a thorough discussion about one of the hot topics that's in our community, if you will, and that is the Tyre Nichols situation. We're going to have a couple of other things that we're going to talk about, but I feel the need to dispel some of the myths, rumors, and things that are not quite accurate, because these things impact all of us. And so we want to make sure that what we do is we address these issues from the start, if you will. All right. So let me begin by saying this also. A lot of you all, we've been hearing things about, folks that are close to us and folks in their health and everything. We need to start praying for folks, get back to old school ways. Some of y'all need to start visiting people. Some of y'all need to, real talk, it's too late to go visit somebody when they're in the casket. It's too late to be visiting somebody and shedding tears after they've transitioned to the next phase of their existence. So while they are still on this side of the grave, while they are still on this side and they are able to respond and enjoy and appreciate most of the time your interaction with them, why don't you consider sometime going to visit folks now? Because, and I'm saying this with all level of sincerity, because it seems like every time we wake up, somebody else is under the weather. Somebody else is dealing with a health issue, and you really just don't know how long I or you or anybody else has. So let's make the most of it. And that way, when the guy I work for, when Jesus says, hey, it's time for you to come on, do some work for me in another phase of existence, you don't have to be sitting around boo-hooing and acting like you don't know what's going on or feeling some level of guilt. When you leave it all on the table, they know it and you know it, and somehow you're going to make it through. All right. That's just my little message for the moment, if you will. I just thought I'd put that out there, because sometimes, I be having things I want to say and I get caught up in the actual event of the evening, and I forget to put it out there for you all, the valued listeners. All right. So I just want to let y'all know that that's something that was and is on my mind. And so therefore, hopefully you all will get that and make sure that you apply it to your daily lives. All right, let me see who is out here in listening land, if you will, right quick. Who is one of the, Nikki Carter is out here in listening land. Hopefully we're going to have a peaceful evening. Big Rod is out. What's going on, Big Rod? Uh-oh, there go my mama. Hey, mama. What's going on? Oh, yeah, there goes Chanelli Ross. She is tuning in tonight. I don't know if the folks down at the OC, man, I'm going to tell y'all something funny. Y'all might ain't believe this. I told y'all, I think it was last week, I was out of town on business and I happened to be down in that area. And as I was driving through, going to my destination, what? How about I looked over and I saw what? I saw the OC. Y'all always hear me giving them some shouts out because they're one of the premier cigar locations in the Virginia area. And so I just want to say to them, I finally saw the sign. Didn't get a chance to stop through, but that's on my bucket list, if you will, to go one day, maybe do a show down there, but have a cigar with the good folks at the OC. Good people doing good things. And believe it or not, for those of you who be sitting back saying, I can't do this and I can't do that. Let me tell y'all something. Working with Jesus do not mean you can't have a cigar or whatever. As a matter of fact, I'll be honest with y'all. I find it has been my own experience that the good folks down at OC will often call up a brother and say, I got a question about the dude you work for, Jesus. And we had open conversations. So stop assuming that them folks that's fellowshipping over a cigar ain't got good things on their mind. I'm going to rock with them people because they rock with me, all right? Annie Moore, what's going on? Glad to see you as well. And for those of you who do not, if I don't see you, I've said this a couple of times, but I want to touch on it very, very briefly. I may not see you. If you're the messages that you guys type up, generally, I'm going to get them if they go to Facebook. If not, I'm not on that same platform. I'm using a platform that allows me to stream out to multiple sources at the same time. So you may be, if you're on YouTube and you're typing something, if you're on any other platforms, Twitch, whatever, I may not see that message until later on. So normally if it pops up through Facebook, I'll get a little hint of it up here and I'll respond to it or pop it up. Because what I try to do is allow those of you who correspond with me, since we got the ability to pop your messages up here, I'll pop them up. What? Say it ain't so. It's Lisa Barkley saying, good evening, Dr. Nichols. See, that's what I'm talking about. Good people vibing with the show. So anyway, this is where we're going to start with tonight. It's a very serious subject. And once again, to my Anglo-Saxon brothers and sisters, let me say this to you. I welcome you as all. I mean, y'all know how I feel about it. I got white brothers and sisters. And so I like to make sure everybody feels at home. My Latino brothers and sisters, to my Asian comrades, those of you who are in Nigeria who keep saying that I need to do something to adjust the time frame that I'm on the air. Hey, I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. What y'all trying to get me to come to the motherland? I tell you what, if y'all get me, I'm going to pick a number. If y'all get me 20,000 likes from Nigeria, I jump on the plane and come to Nigeria and I do a show down there for 1 week. All right. 20,000. Y'all get me 20,000 hits from Nigeria and I'm going to get on the plane and come do the show down there. That's my word. And my word is my bond. Yes, hey, if y'all want me to go to the motherland and see my brothers and sisters from Nigeria, because they be watching now, y'all give me 20,000 from Nigeria and I'm coming on home. I'm coming on back to the motherland. April Brown, what's going on? Glad to see you. Some of y'all don't believe me, but I'm telling you, I'm a man of my word. That's how I get down. All right. So again, as I told y'all, tonight's show, we're going to focus on the Tyre Nichols situation. Chanel talking about no, go to Ghana. See, the people from my Guyanese people, they have not been responding as positively as my homeboys from Nigeria. So hey, you said they ain't safe, but they rocking with me. I believe my brothers and sisters, for those of you who not seeing, I'm having a conversation with Shania. She's saying Nigeria ain't safe. Hey, my brothers and sisters been corresponding with me, and now they ain't been trying to get me to y'all know how y'all be getting those them emails talking about you just have a relative that passed away and had $100 million in the bank. I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about my real Nigerian brothers and sisters. They want me to come on over. So if y'all do right and get me 20,000 hits, I'm gonna do like the song say, I'm gonna come on over to Day Place. How about that? Hey, I'll take security with me. Sinclair Show got security. All right. Anyway, so for those of you who have been crawling under a rock, and may not have heard about the situation with the gentleman, his name was Tyre Nichols. He was a young man who I think it was on or around about 20 some days ago, in January. He was driving. He was pulled over in Memphis. All right. And when he got pulled over in Memphis, a verbal confrontation ensued, which later turned into a physical altercation where he was pepper sprayed. He took off running. They caught up with him. And what transpired when they caught up with Tyre Nichols can only be described as a level of viciousness and anger and evilness to be displayed by what? It wasn't my white brothers and sisters this time. It was my black brothers and sisters brothers in blue. All right. And does it make a difference? It does to me. It doesn't in terms of the fact that he was viciously beaten and died 3 days later from those injuries. It matters because now the nation, if not the world, is looking to see what's going on, Detective Pamela Black. Glad to see you. The nation or the world is looking to see how we respond to the atrocities done by people who look like us. Oh, they clear on how we get down when it's a white cop or white cops who do violence and murder or kill a black individual. We stand up, we shout, we ready to go to war, we ready to burn down the city, we ready to do it all then. So white America, political America, outside of America is looking to see how much rage do we have, how much anger do we have when we see 5 black cops viciously beating a black man. Now, for the record, all 5 of these in record time. And when I say record time, I'm talking about the amount of time from when it was found out or when Tyre Nichols died to termination, because all 5 of these have been terminated. I believe there have been 1 or 2 others who have been relieved of duty, and we're going to talk about that. There have been some EMT or emergency professionals who were either relieved from duty and or terminated. But in record time, never have we seen a response from law enforcement, upper management, if you will. Never have we seen them in record fashion move to terminate, charge a police officer in this kind of case. We done seen a whole bunch of black folks, a whole bunch of Negroes, white America. I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking right now. But understand something. There are still discrepancies in the way that black folks are treated, even when they are the criminals in question. white folks, white police officers specifically, will assault, kill, and it might take 3 to 6 months for enough to come down for an indictment if they're indicted. And I'm saying this now so white folks, you can get off this and we can get on with the rest of the show. I'm saying to you now, there is clearly a difference in the expediency by which those officers who deserve to be fired, they deserve to be charged, they deserve to be in jail, they deserve whatever comes with that. So we ain't defending them by any means. I'm just saying, don't think we slipping on the fact of how fast these Negro officers, these black officers were fired. Big Ron said, it's the police culture, not skin color, is the catalyst that media and politicians use to divide the community. Absolutely. I'm with you on that. April said the rage won't be as intense for a variety of reasons, mostly because of the swiftness of their termination, but the rage should still be the same. April, I disagree. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I disagree with the mindset of us and thinking or assuming that because you go and charge them, it's not going to make us think about how long it takes you to charge white officers. We're going to put that on the back burner because we want justice for Tyre Nichols' family. But I'm saying this up front to my white constituents, to my white brothers and sisters. I want you to understand, we're not through with this conversation. After we get justice for Tyre Nichols, we want to figure out where is the justice. And you have now created a brand new standard. You have now created a brand new blueprint that says every time we got your video with officers out here beating and killing on pedestrians, beating and killing on black folks, white folks, Latin folks, Asian folks. From now on, the new standard is you got 20 days or less. Anything less is uncivilized, and we're going to have to consider where we go next. Why? Because you've shown us you can do it. See, all these years, you all have tricked us into believing that the system doesn't move that fast. But since we now know that the system does move that fast, we're going to absolutely positively tell you that 20 days is the standard. Not 21, not 25, not 30. You got 20 days from now on before we have to examine this a little bit deeper. Big Rod said another thing you must consider is there's probably no police union in Memphis because most southern states are right to work states. Big Rod, that might be the case. I don't care. I don't care nothing about no police union because you want me to tell you what happened? Whether by force or optical choice, the police chief, she saw the video. She said it was egregious. She moved to terminate. The prosecution didn't have any problem standing with her and charging them. So that don't have nothing to do with the union. The union can fight all they want to in any state. What we're saying is 20 days. Marcus Key, what's going on, big guy? 20 days is the new standard. And if we can't get it in 20 days, there's going to be trouble. Please believe. That's how we talking now, because we got proof that you can do it. But anyway, let's get back to what happened to Tyre Nichols. As a disclaimer, I am going to share with you things that have been public, things that I have researched. I do not and cannot say that Tyre Nichols didn't violate a traffic law. there is no proof at this time that the police chief nor his attorneys have been able to locate to prove that it was a traffic violation. So as of right now, according to the police chief, she doesn't believe that they had a reason to stop this gentleman. Big Rod said that's why she was able to move quicker. I hear what you were saying. All right, Big Rod, we on the same page. So I'm saying it in this fashion. When it's something that is alleged, I'll use the phrase alleged. Right now, I don't have proof, nor does the police chief in Memphis, that Tyre Nichols ever even actually committed a traffic violation. It was alleged in the police report that they stopped him because he was going down the wrong way. With all the cameras and stuff that they have, I am telling you, there is no current proof that has been provided to the and or myself or any other news agency to indicate that this is factual. Regardless, driving down the wrong way of the street does not mean you should get beat to death. They tell me at 8:24 p.m., the officers conduct a traffic stop and apprehended Tyre Nichols. The video, which you can find out on YouTube and other places, if not your local news media probably has it in their history column. But on the video, the officers at the initial stop can be heard saying, "Get the blank out of the blank car." Because this is a family area, I'm not going to use the individual language, but you can look at their videos and see what it says. They're heard screaming this out while pulling Nichols out of the car. Nichols is heard saying, "I ain't do nothing." A scuffle ensues with an officer yelling, "Get on the blanking ground." Nichols says, "All right, I'm on the ground." Now, the police have said they stopped him for the reckless driving, but Memphis Police Chief Cerelyn C.J. Davis said early Friday morning an investigation and review of available camera footage found no proof. Okay. Officers are seen pinning Nichols to the ground on his side while grabbing his arm and giving him contradictory orders. Nichols is heard saying, "You guys are really doing a lot right now." Saying during the encounter, "I'm just trying to go home." First of all, I want to be clear. All police officers are not bad. We have very good law enforcement officers. How do I know? I'm friends with some law enforcement officers. Right now, I can pick up this phone and I could dial at least 3 different sheriffs in 3 different areas. Get them on the cell phone. Good people. I don't want you guys to assume that everybody that works at the police department and in law enforcement are negative crooks and trying to do something negative. The majority of them are good men and women. But for my brothers and sisters in blue and brown and green and whatever color your uniform is, let me tell you this. We also not going to sit around here and act like all of y'all are good. Because everybody ain't. And let me tell you the problem with this. See, the desire to force or strong arm an individual into submission begins the issue. If you want somebody to get out of the car who, at least as of now, the Memphis police chief says there is no proof that the individual violated any laws, understand something, that a regular citizen can ask questions when they believe that a command by an officer is unlawful. So if I ask you, "Officer, why did you stop me?" And unless when you stop me, you see something that indicates that I am a threat to you or others, why is the initial command for me to get on the ground? What am I getting on the ground for? What is it about the police that love to see individuals face down on the ground. And I'm not saying that law enforcement officers never go to situations with a predetermined thought based on information they may have from the system that a person could be dangerous, but that's facts not in evidence here. The evidence in play right now is we don't even know that the individual did anything wrong because according to the Memphis police chief, there is no proof of anything being done wrong. But you want him to get on the ground. Let me say this to you, America, whether you black, white, Asian, or Latino, it is an unnatural feeling for someone that you don't know to make you get on the ground and be in a submissive position. So stop acting like you don't understand why folks feel the way they do when you give that command. If you need to put me in cuffs for whatever your reason is, be it real or otherwise, then when you approach the car, can you just tell me, Mr. Nicholson, we have a suspicion of a crime. If you would allow us to put you in these cuffs, if it turns out that it's not true, we'll remove them and you could go on your way. But in the interim, we need to do this for our safety. If you come at us like you are professional, most of us gonna comply. Because if I ain't got nothing to hide, I don't care nothing about you putting them cuffs on me because you gonna take them off at some point. And I'll say this to my brothers and sisters, be you white, black, or otherwise. Stop acting like when the police come to you, that's the time for you to become law scholars. Sometimes you gotta shut up when you see somebody and they already acting like they in their feelings. Okay? Sometimes you gotta read the room, so to speak, and realize that the only thing you trying to do is get home. What Big Rod said? Big Rod said Tennessee State Police was already looking into the case because something wasn't right about the Memphis police report. Hey, I agree, Big Rod. We're gonna get to that in a little bit too. But I'm saying this to you all because we done seen too many cases where law enforcement may be having a bad day. And because they having a bad day and they come to the car and you don't feel like getting out the car, you turn into a barracks lawyer. And the next thing you know, somebody is putting you in a casket. Let's be mindful of this and understand whether you are right or wrong. Sometimes the best thing to do is yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, comply and live to call an attorney whom by which, because of body cam video and audio, most of the time, if they're wrong, you're going to be able to track them down. That's a suggestion I'm making. And that does not infer to white America or otherwise that Tyre Nichols did anything wrong. But I'm just telling you, sometimes right or wrong doesn't matter. Let's make it home, and then we can deal with it later. Big Rod said the right to remain silent is a powerful weapon. I agree with you 1,000%, my brother. 825, Nichols is pepper sprayed and attempts to flee during the stun gun attempt. Officers pursue Nichols on foot after he flees while officers attempt to use a stun gun on him. They call for backup, which arrives around 8:29. Think about it. Think about what it said now. And let me explain this to you, officers. The moment that you pull out pepper spray or you threaten to do bodily harm, which these officers are heard doing, the average human being who has seen law enforcement videos on television and YouTube or social media, the first thing that happens is they begin to go into fight or flight mode. It is human life preservation that becomes at the top of the goal. So you threatening that you're going to do something to them. Nobody wants to be tasered. Nobody wants to be pepper sprayed. I was in the military. You had to go through the chemical training. And I'm telling you, when somebody puts some pepper spray on you, it is not a good feeling. 8:29, 2 police cars arrived at the intersection where Nichols was initially stopped. As the officers asked for his location, an officer can be heard on the radio saying they've spotted Nichols running on foot. 8:32, Nichols is repeatedly pepper sprayed during his second encounter, meaning from 8:29 to 8:32, they tracked him down and they caught him. The video, you can hear the officers saying to Nichols, "Shut the blank up." 2 officers are seen on top of Nichols, who is lying at this point on the pavement. They're saying, "Give me your hands." Nichols appears to shield his face as officers begin to punch and slap him. Let me tell y'all something, officers. And I'm going to say this with all level of dignity and respect to you all. If you are trying to detain someone, the law says you can use reasonable force. At this time, it's 2 people on top of them. It's other folks standing around. Y'all punching this man. Human nature does not allow a individual person who is still breathing to take punches to the face without trying to put their hands up, without trying to get away. It is not normal for you to tell me to put my hands down and be punching me in my face. And let me tell you something almost worse than that. And recognize when I say this with the level of anger that I really do have in my spirit on this. Do you know how demoralizing it is for a man to slap another man? Not only was y'all punching him, you were no longer trying to gain control of the situation, because there's not any way that you can tell me you're going to gain control by slapping me in my face. You're provoking me to defend myself after being brutally beaten and punched, with you out there in your combat uniform with your gloves with the padding on the knuckles. We seen how y'all roll. I seen the video. And you punching and slapping. Man, please. All right. Nichols appeared to shield his face as officers begin to punch and slap him in the face. "You want to get sprayed again?" one officer says to Nichols. Nichols is screaming, "Mom!" repeatedly. Police caught up with Nichols in a neighborhood less than 80 yards from his mother's house. Officers asked for Nichols to give them his hands. All right, you can hear him saying. And he appears to move his hands back and forth. Officers continue to spray Nichols directly in the eyes while he lies on the ground. They are heard complaining the chemical spray got in their eyes. You done sprayed this man so much. Gwendolyn, Lady Elegance Pritchard, what's going on, girl? Glad to see you on tonight. You have sprayed this man so much that you yourselves are complaining that the very pepper spray meant to blind him is got you so you can't see. Excessiveness. And let me say this other little piece. And I know some of my law enforcement officers gonna get mad, right? Stop asking folks that you beaten. Stop asking folks that you are violating their civil rights. Stop asking folks who you got pinned down on the ground with 4 or 5 of y'all stupid questions, ignorant questions. Listen, and I want y'all, whether you're in my white community, black community, Latinos, Asians, let me tell y'all what a stupid question is. Why you punching me? Why you spraying me with pepper spray? To ask me anything, do you want me to spray you again? I didn't want you to spray me the first time. That's what you wanted. 8:34. Nichols is kicked in the head and beaten with a baton. Think about the time frame, people. 8:24. That's when they conduct the traffic stop. 8:24. 8 minutes from the time you pulled his car over. 8 minutes. He even took off running. 8 minutes from the time you pulled him over. You were kicking him in the head within 8 minutes. That ain't even talking about when y'all had to search for him. Loretta Battle, what's going on, girl? She said Sinclair, the police was following him because of his ex. He planned it. I don't believe the guy ran. Well, we do have video, Loretta, of him running. I believe he had good cause to run. All right? Big Rod said they was holding this kid head up and teeing off him and kicking this kid. We must commend the people of Memphis didn't turn the city upside down. Absolutely. But I want you all to put in perspective. 8 minutes is not that long. All right? It's 60 seconds is 1 minute. Okay? 6 times 8 is what? 48, right? 480 seconds. We have been on air tonight for 36 minutes. It took from the time that they stopped his car till the time when they were kicking him in the head like a mob of ignorant Negroes. There was no difference in what I saw law enforcement, those 5, 6, 7, however many it was, black guys. There was no difference from them than what I've seen young kids get jumped into gangs. Essie Shepherd, what's going on? Glad to see you. 8 minutes, people. 8 minutes. Now you think about it. And I want you who might be on potential jurors in Memphis, because I done had some people hit me up from Memphis, ask me, was I going to talk about it? Absolutely. I want you to think about this potential jurors. 8 minutes is 480 seconds. Okay? And I'm going to tell y'all why that's important. How you doing, Mother Rouse? Glad to see you. Big Rod said, when you're getting your behind beat, it's an eternity. Let me tell you, prospective jurors, why I want you to understand the 8 minutes. Kiki Matthews, glad to see you. She said, aloha from Hawaii, people. I want y'all, somebody be my timekeeper tonight. 8 minutes is the clock. All right? Let me pick somebody. Matter of fact, where's Nikki Carter at? Nikki Carter, I want you to keep up with the time. 8 minutes. From the time they stopped the car to the time they was kicking him in the head. First of all, can we agree that 8 minutes is 480 seconds? If y'all agree with me, then let's talk about it. First of all, let's assume that when you stopped the car, you had to get out your car and walk to the door of Tyre Nichols. Does that make sense? And let's assume, even if you jumped out your car and ran with your gun out, let's assume that if you were going to shout some commands and he was going to hear them, you at least had to say, get out the car. How do we know? Because the step-by-step says he got out the car. Let's assume it took him a few seconds to get out the car. Let's assume, for principle, it says at 8:24 they were shouting, get out the car, get out the blinking car. So that means it didn't happen immediately, so the seconds is ticking. Nichols is getting out the car and says, I didn't do anything. A scuffle ensues with an officer yelling, get on the blanking ground. He says, all right, I'm on the ground. Can we assume for practical purposes that the time it took the officers to get out of the car, approach his car, even if they had the guns drawn, for them to give him commands to which he didn't initially do, but he then turned around and did, that they snatched him, that they pulled him to the ground, that they were arguing with him to get on the ground, meaning it wasn't instantaneous. He was saying, I didn't do anything, and trying to prevent himself from being drugged to the ground. Let's assume that took at least 60 seconds. Let's assume it took 1 to 2 minutes. Is that fair? And if it took 1 to 2 minutes of the 8 minutes from start to kicking in the head and beating with a baton, that's either 60 seconds or 120 seconds from that 480. Does that seem fair? Because unless they levitated and teleported themselves from in their car to his, and magically somehow they could snatch him out, there would have been no reason to have all of these commands if he was complying with the commands. So whenever you're not complying, the clock is still ticking. Does that make sense? So if I got to take 2 minutes off, let's say a minute and a half, and then they say, according to this, they say at 8:25, he is pepper sprayed and he attempts to flee. So we can at least account for a 1 minute or more. So we know it took at least 1 minute for him to get out the car, for them to give him these commands. I want y'all to tell me, where was the de-escalation that we've heard police have received training on? Because if from the time you approached the car till you are pepper spraying and putting them on the ground, where is the de-escalation? Because we know it's only 1 minute. Why? Because the step-by-step says at 8:24, officers conducted the traffic stop. And at 8:25, it says Nichols is seen on the video being pepper sprayed and attempts to flee. Where is the de-escalation tactics on the part of law enforcement? Within 60 seconds, you are already pepper spraying this individual and cussing him out. Tell me, where is the de-escalation? And we know you got to take at least 60 seconds out of them 480 seconds. Then it says he takes off running. Takes off running. Right there, 8:25 p.m., he's pepper sprayed and takes off running. Then what does it say happened? At 8:29, backup arrives. 2 police cars arrive at the intersection where Nichols was initially stopped as officers asking for his location, and an officer can be heard on the radio saying they've spotted Nichols running on foot. All right, so check this out. Nikki Carter, let's rock with this. Since you my timekeeper, 8:24, they've given him aggressive commands. 8:25, they already pepper spraying him. 60 seconds after they see this dude, they already pepper spraying him, right? He takes off running. At 8:29, look, Tyre Nichols was running and hiding for at least 4 minutes of the 8. How do we know? Right there. It says at 8:29, 2 police cars arrive at the intersection where Nichols was initially stopped as an officer asked for his location. An officer can be heard on the radio saying, we've spotted Nichols and he's running on foot. So if at 8:24 you stop him, 8:25 you already putting hands on him and pepper spraying him, he takes off running, and he's running for 4 minutes, because at 8:29, 4 minutes later, 4 minutes, because remember, they say he took off at 8:25, a minute after he was first pepper sprayed. He takes off, 4 minutes he's running, 8:29, they spotted him still running on foot, which is what they said on the radio. So you're telling me 5 out of the 8 minutes, 5 out of the 8 minutes is already gone. 300 seconds of the 480 before you start kicking him in the head. 300 of those 480 seconds is already gone. It says at 8:29, they say, hey, we got him. We see him running. At 8:32, 3 minutes later, Tyre Nichols is repeatedly pepper sprayed during the second encounter, with the officers yelling, "Shut the F up." 2 officers are seen on top of Nichols. So mind you, they see him running on foot at 8:29. They announce it. In 3 minutes or less, they already have caught back up with him after that, and 2 officers are on him again. Remember, he had 2 officers on him when they first started pepper spraying him. They've now caught back up with him. They telling him to shut up. They telling him to give me your hands. They are seen on top of Nichols, who is at this point lying on the pavement. All right. Lisa Clark says there is just no reasonable explanation. There is absolutely no way to make this make sense. Absolutely. But we're gonna walk through this, because I don't want my Caucasian counterparts to think that we're unreasonable. At 8:32, he is being beat. He is already on the pavement. He is being punched. He is being beat. They're asking him stupid questions. They're telling him to shut up. Matter of fact, police officers, let me say this to you. Stop. I'm not asking, I'm telling. Stop asking questions and then telling the person to shut up. Do you want me to answer you? If you don't want me to answer you, stop asking me ignorant questions. Don't ask me, do you want something? And then when I tell you that I don't, you're telling me to shut the F up. You're asking me, I quote, this is what you can hear on the audio. You want to get sprayed again? Let me think about it. No, I didn't want to get sprayed the first time. I didn't even want to get stopped. And according to your police chief, you didn't have a reason. Officers ask again Nichols to give him his hands. All right, he replies. Think about it. At 8:34, now we didn't hit the 10-minute mark. 10 minutes. The initial stop was at 8:24. At 8:34, Nichols is kicked in the head and beaten with a baton. At least one officer is seen in the video kicking Nichols in the head while he is pinned on his side on the pavement. Listen to what that said. You are no longer trying to gain control over the individual if the phrase "he is pinned on his side on the pavement." Pinned means you cannot move. You cannot get up. You kick this man in the head. An officer stands Nichols upright and pins his head by his hands behind him. Officers then punch Nichols, who is staggering about, repeatedly in his head and beat him with the baton. Now, let me tell y'all something. I watched this video several times. I have never seen, not in the movies, and I've seen some street fights. I've seen some fights at school. I've seen some fights. I've been in a couple of fights. I've never seen somebody, other than in the movies, where a person will stand you up and allow folks to punch you in your face. This is what took place at 8:41. Think about this now. 10 minutes. This man has been pepper sprayed, shot with a stun gun, ran for 3.5 minutes, was caught back up with, was kicked, beaten in the head, beaten with a baton, stomped on, slammed against the car. At 8:41, from 8:34 to 8:41, he is assaulted. At 8:41, medics arrive on the scene but offer no aid. Nichols is sitting handcuffed on the pavement. Two medics prop Nichols' slumped body against the unmarked police car. Nichols is conscious but visibly injured. Medical personnel are seen standing around nearby Nichols, but they do not render aid at this point. The two fire department employees tasked with Nichols' initial patient care were later relieved of duty. Now, let me say this to you all. And I'm saying this to you all because I want you all to comprehend what we've talked about. We have talked. If you all out there in listening land, right now, if you were to close your eyes for a second, and I want you to imagine that I said to you, today we're going to go hunting for some deer. There are some rules of engagement, Lisa said, and they should have been. Absolutely, absolutely. Should have been providing care. I want you to close your eyes and imagine that there are rules of engagement even when you are a licensed deer hunter. Any of you that have ever hunted that are listening to me, you know there are times of the day that you can, or the night that you can't hunt. There are times in the geographical season that you can't hunt. That is to ensure a level of fairness in what you are attempting to do. There was no fairness in the type of assault that Tyre Nichols experienced. How can you tell me that if you go out here and you beat your own dog and you kill your own dog, you can get 5 years minimum easily? Because we as human beings say you should not be able to assault and kill an animal. But you tracked, you stopped, you hunted this man for 4 minutes as he ran. You had no reason to believe he was armed. You had no reason to believe he was dangerous. You hunted this man for 4 minutes on foot with a bunch of you all like tracking dogs. You hunted him down. You used every tool at your disposal. This man was pepper sprayed. This man was stunned with a stun gun. This man was punched and beaten with officers with protective gear on their knuckles. This man was beaten with a baton. This man was beaten while handcuffed. Mr. Clark says there was no humanity in this experience. Absolutely not. As the shepherd said, those people are out of their minds. They're disgusting. Absolutely. I want you to understand, America, we don't care that the 5 primary criminals involved in this were Negro. You think we care about the color of their skin? We want to know, why is it that certain people, not all, who put on these uniforms are so comfortable? You got on body camera. It's not even so. We could talk about the level of atrocity in what you did. But let's also talk about what you said afterwards. You could be heard on the tapes, heard on the video, the audio from it, right? And I want you to understand something. It is a disgrace to listen to what they were saying. All right? It really was. And I say that because when you hear some of the conversation, right, you begin to to compartmentalize how aggressive these officers were. All right. You can hear an officer at some point on the audio. Nikki Carter said to do all that while using body cam is crazy. Absolutely. You can hear officers while on body camera saying to themselves, man, he must have been on something. I hit him with all that I had. That's what they said. You can hear him saying it. I hit him with all that I had. Bragging. While Nichols is being pulled up by his shoulder, kicked in the face twice, hit in the back with what appears to be a nightstick. He's pulled up to his feet while officers are seen punching him in the face multiple times. You all are out there bragging about how many times you struck him. Think about that, people. You're bragging about how many times you struck this man. 23 minutes from the time Nichols appeared to be subdued after the beating before a stretcher arrived. So not only was the atrocity about how he was beaten, the severity of that, but 23 minutes passed from the time he appears to be subdued after the beating before a stretcher arrives on the scene. He was physically assaulted with such ferocity. And before anyone would render help, before a stretcher got there, 23 minutes. Not 23 minutes including the time when you was being beaten. Not 23 minutes. It wasn't part of the initial 10 or 11 minutes that he was being stalked like an animal and tracked like an animal and beaten like an animal and violated to the point where he did not know where he was. The 23 minutes that he has to sit outside, barely conscious, barely able to, he has to be propped up. Remember, part of this beating was why he was in handcuffs. He is sitting perched up on the wheel and on the side of a car, listening to the very officers who committed this heinous act, standing around in circles, bragging about, man, I hit him with everything that I had. He must be on something to be able to have taken those punches. And you all wonder why. You all wonder when. This is what is scaring America today, is that you're wondering what is the tipping point. You are scared, America, because you know it's not much left in Black America's conscience that's going, you don't know when it's going to happen, but you fear that your very actions, Yvonne said, make me sick to my stomach. They are hiring thugs as police officers. You don't comprehend this, America, but I'm saying this to you because I love America. You don't comprehend and you fear the reprisals of Black America against law enforcement and others because you know for yourself, you can't keep showing us imagery after imagery of us being savagely stalked and beaten and murdered. You know you can't keep doing that before Black America says, what do I have to lose? Now, I pray that this doesn't happen. I pray that America would develop a conscience in time. But America, you fear this because you know it's the human element. It's the fight or flight element that makes you nervous that at some point, we're going to say enough is enough. I want to leave you all with this. Listen, Black America, predominantly Black men of America, your responsibility each day when you leave home is to make it back safely. I don't care how degrading it is to say yes, sir, and no, sir, to somebody who is acting belligerent towards you. I know you may not have done anything wrong. I know you could be 100% right in what you are thinking, but don't do it. Your job is to get home safely. Your job is to get back home to your family. This dude was going to his mama's house 80 yards up the street. Your job is to make it home. Your job is to make it to a point where you can pick the phone up. I don't care what it does to your ego. If the police tell you to get on the ground, I don't care if you dressed in all white, get on the ground. We'll make them buy you another outfit. I don't care how ignorant they are. I don't care what they do, what they say to try to provoke you. You, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Them, let them put the cuffs on you. You make it home and you hold America responsible through the justice system. And if you can't get it there, then my brothers and sisters, be you white, Black, Asian, or Latino, if we got the video that can show it, we're going to have to stand up for each other. There shall be no more of this without there being, and listen, I'm telling you, white America, I'm telling you what we're going to do. We're going to watch this case. We're going to watch you prosecute these 5 thugs because they deserve it. We're not going to defend them because they Black. We want you to press the charges. We want you to max them out. We want you to make an example out of them. But you better best believe the next time we catch a white officer doing the same thing, we're going to demand it. And if we don't get it then, we're going to get justice. Because we have a responsibility to obey the law, to do what is right. But the forefathers, even though they had us as slaves, the moment that they drafted that all men are created equal, that we have an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The first thing is life. You got a right to life. Don't tell me that you will go and put rules in Congress that says that a woman, if she becomes pregnant, that she can't make the determination about whether or not she wants to carry that child to term. She can't make that decision because you said Congress, Senate, Supreme Court, you said everybody has a right to life. And we're going to hold you to it. Because if an unborn infant at 4 weeks old has a right to life, 16 weeks has a right to life, how can you tell me that a 25-year-old man doesn't have the right to life? Listen, people, I got to go. But I'm telling you all, we have a responsibility. And the responsibility is to do things right, to do it legally, to exhaust all measures. But when those measures fail, you don't drive by another Tyre Nichols watching him being beat. You stop your car. Everybody stops their car. You circle your cars around. It's going to be no more take out your cell phone and then so you can make money off it on social media. You get out your car. You stop being afraid. You let them know that you're watching. Because I promise you, when they see 50 of us standing around, not willing to move, making sure that you're not going to punch this man with 50 of us standing around. You know how many cars I saw ride around? This man was running down the street, running through neighborhoods. People got video of it. You're not going to do that anymore. We are not going to authorize you to kill our people, black, white, Latino, Asian, or otherwise, while we sit back behind cell phones watching and recording and then want to get on the news and talk about it. I gotta go, people.
It's about that time, baby. Oh, yeah.
Have a good night.
Here we go. The Sinclair Show is on. It is on. Running it.